"I don't love you anymore, we should end this." Those words spoken on a windy October afternoon haunted me for many sleepless nights afterward. Have you ever wondered what's worse, being betrayed, or having the person you loved most tell you to your face that you no longer hold any value to them? I had to endure both at the same time, and I'm here to tell that story. A story not about pain or resentment, but about how I reclaimed control of my life. But to understand this journey, you need to know who I am, how I fell for the wrong person, and why everything fell apart. My name is Lena Carter, 37 years old, a commercial contract lawyer in Denver, Colorado. While I'm not famous in the traditional sense, I've earned a certain level of recognition in the legal field. Because of that, I'm compelled to keep my real identity private. The world is smaller than you think, and no one wants their personal affairs turned into gossip at lawyer conventions or courtroom meetings. The second character in this story is the man I once called my husband, Ethan Brooks, 41 years old, CEO of a high-end restaurant chain stretching from New York to Los Angeles. Ethan was charming, confident, and ambitious, qualities that drew me to him the first time we met at a business networking event. I believed I had found my ideal partner, someone who would understand the demands and pressures of a busy career. But Ethan's ambitions extended far beyond professional success. He always wanted more money, more fame, and women he deemed more worthy than me. We got married over 10 years ago at a time when both of us were reaching the peak of our careers. However, marriage turned out to be nothing like the romantic movies I used to watch. After a few years of stability, Ethan became increasingly distant. Our conversations grew shorter, and his evenings at home became fewer and far between. Instead, there were endless urgent meetings and lengthy business trips. Despite the warning signs, I convinced myself that it was just a rough patch that every couple goes through. I told myself that Ethan was under work stress, and if I were patient, we would overcome it. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. He wasn't just physically absent. He had abandoned me emotionally as well. When I finally decided to uncover the truth, I discovered exactly what I had feared the most. But that discovery was only the beginning of my fight for myself. There was much more to come, and I'll share all of it with you. Ethan Brooks was not someone who easily left clues. He was clever and always knew how to maintain his public image, especially around me. But no matter how smart someone is, they can't hide the small changes in their daily routine forever. I started noticing those changes over a year ago. At first it was broken promises about coming home on time. He would excuse himself with urgent shareholder meetings or surprise inspections of his restaurant branches. His business trips became more frequent and farther away. "I'll be in New York this week, then maybe stop by Dallas before heading back," Ethan would casually inform me. I was accustomed to his hectic schedule, but there was something in his eyes and voice that kept stirring my doubts. Lately, Ethan had been taking more care of his appearance than ever before. He changed his cologne, bought brand new suits, and even started working out regularly. When I joked, "Are you planning to become a model?" he gave a dismissive chuckle and replied, "Don't be silly, Lena. I just want to look more professional in my meetings with clients." Those signs should have been enough to alert me, but perhaps it was love or self-deception that prevented me from facing the truth. I didn't want to believe that the man I had loved wholeheartedly could betray me. Until one Saturday evening, when Ethan said he had to fly to an urgent conference in Chicago. As soon as he walked out the door, I made up my mind. This time, I was going to find out the truth. I started by searching his home office. Ethan was discreet but not perfectly careful. In a locked drawer, I found an old laptop he had used years ago. At first glance, it seemed harmless, but when I powered it on and searched through the saved accounts, I discovered a different Facebook profile. A secret account I had never known about. My breath caught in my throat as I opened the profile. The first thing that appeared was a photo of Ethan with a young woman. The caption read, "Every day feels brighter with my beautiful girl." It made my stomach turn. She had a perfect appearance, a radiant smile, and golden hair that looked like it belonged on a magazine cover. The photos and suggestive messages confirmed my worst fear. Ethan was having an affair. I sat there, paralyzed, my hands trembling as I scrolled through each picture and message. All those times he told me he was busy with work had actually been spent with her. The elaborate lies were hidden under the guise of business trips and client meetings. I felt as though our entire marriage had been a facade. That night I couldn't sleep. Anger and pain consumed me. I had always been a sharp lawyer, someone who could see through deception in every case. Yet here I was, blinded by my own denial in the most personal aspect of my life. The next morning I made a decision. I would no longer sit idly by in this web of lies. It was time for Ethan to face the truth. I was going to show him that no one could manipulate and betray me without consequences. Ethan returned home on Monday morning as if nothing had happened. As he walked through the door, he casually loosened his tie and asked, "Did you make me a cup of coffee?" His voice was light and calm, but to me it was nothing more than a facade. I clenched my fists and steadied myself, determined to keep my composure. "We need to talk," I said coldly, my eyes locking onto his. Ethan froze, his eyes briefly reflecting surprise before shifting to irritation. "What's with the tension? I just got home," he said, sounding annoyed. I took out my phone, opened the photo of him and that woman, and placed it in front of him. "Are you still going to pretend?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly with restrained anger. Ethan stared at the screen for a long moment, then chuckled. A cold, heartless laugh. "Oh, so you've done some digging, huh?" His response hit me like a bucket of ice water. "That's all you have to say? This is how you explain your affair to me?" I asked in disbelief at his indifference. Ethan shrugged, as if it didn't matter. "Listen, Lena, you're being too sensitive. There's nothing serious between me and her. You should focus on your job instead of always acting like a judge, trying to control me," he said, casually. A surge of fury welled up inside me. "Control? Are you kidding me? All those nights you came home late, all those lies about business trips just so you could be with her, and now you want to blame me?" Ethan sighed, his expression shifting to a mix of weariness and contempt. "Honestly, Lena, you're blowing this out of proportion. We're not the same anymore. You're too caught up in your lawyer career to care about me, and besides, you're not as attractive as you used to be." His last words cut through me like a knife. I stood frozen, unable to breathe. "What did you just say?" I repeated in shock. Ethan shrugged again, his tone now cruelly detached. "You heard me. I want a wife who fits me better, someone attractive, someone who knows how to take care of herself, and someone who doesn't obsess over pointless legal cases," he said without a trace of remorse. I fought to keep my voice steady. "You really think cheating is the solution when you're unhappy?" He gave a cold, humorless laugh. "Honestly, yes. And just so you know, I've already made my decision. I'm filing for divorce. I don't want to continue this sham of a marriage. I've hired a lawyer and you should start packing. You need to leave." I stared at him, my heart shattering into pieces. After more than a decade of marriage, this was what I was left with? "You're a coward, Ethan. But don't think for a second that I'll let you walk away without facing the consequences for what you've done." "Consequences?" Ethan laughed loudly. "Lena, you don't stand a chance against me. You'll just embarrass yourself. I've got everything planned out." I didn't respond to his taunt. Deep inside, I silently vowed that Ethan would pay for the pain he had caused. This wasn't the end. It was the beginning of my fight to reclaim my autonomy and dignity. Ethan didn't know that I was not someone who could be easily defeated. He would soon learn the hard way. I walked into my home office, my mind still reeling from Ethan's cruel words. He really thought he had the upper hand, but he had forgotten one important thing. I am not someone who can be easily backed into a corner. I am a lawyer, and I would never let anyone trample on my dignity without fighting back. While sorting through some old files, I suddenly remembered a crucial document we had signed before getting married. The prenuptial agreement. At the time, both of us were building our careers and agreed that this contract would protect each of our interests in case things ever went wrong. In particular, the 8th clause was crystal clear. If either party committed adultery, the other would be entitled to half of the business assets. I immediately found the original agreement. When the words asset division in the event of infidelity appeared before me, I almost smiled through my anger. Ethan had been so arrogant, assuming I wouldn't dare to challenge him. He had conveniently forgotten that he himself had agreed to this clause during a legal meeting where I was the one overseeing the details. Over the next few days, I devoted all my time to gathering evidence. Messages, photos from his secret Facebook account, hotel receipts, and even the schedules for his fake business trips were all meticulously saved and documented. As I printed each page, a strange sense of calm washed over me. Ethan wouldn't be able to escape this divorce without consequences. Once my preparation was complete, I arranged a meeting with Ryan Sullivan, Ethan's attorney. We met at a quiet cafe near downtown. Ryan was a well-known family law attorney with years of experience. I knew he probably thought this meeting would be a simple, routine discussion, but he had no idea. I had come fully armed with all the ammunition I needed. Ryan was polite as we began the conversation, smiling warmly. "Miss Carter, Ethan informed me that this would just be an initial discussion to resolve matters amicably." I chuckled softly, my gaze unwavering. "Oh, so he hasn't told you the real reason for this meeting?" I calmly took a thick stack of documents from my bag and placed it on the table in front of him. "You might want to review these before proceeding with any plans for your client." Ryan frowned slightly but opened the file. His expression quickly changed as he scanned the pages, his face paling as he took in the undeniable evidence of the affair. The text messages, hotel receipts, and photos shattered any defense he might have prepared. "Oh my God," he muttered under his breath, clearly shaken. "And that's not all," I said, my voice calm but razor-sharp. "According to the prenuptial agreement, I have the right to claim half of Ethan's business assets due to his infidelity. I'm not going to back down, Mr. Sullivan, so I suggest you reconsider continuing to represent your client." Ryan was speechless for a moment before letting out a sigh. "Ethan never mentioned this agreement. He told me you were just trying to cause trouble without any valid reason." I let out a cold laugh. "Well, I think you now know who's really causing trouble in this case." The meeting ended with a promise from Ryan that he would need to have a talk with Ethan. I knew exactly what that meant. No lawyer wants to represent a dishonest client, especially when facing an experienced attorney like me. Ethan had backed himself into a corner without even realizing it. And this was just the beginning. In the days following the meeting with Ryan Sullivan, everything unfolded exactly as I had anticipated. Ryan quickly withdrew from the case, refusing to continue representing Ethan after seeing the overwhelming evidence and the prenup's stipulations. The news made Ethan furious. He bombarded me with texts and phone calls, none of which I bothered to answer. "Now let's see who's the real joke in this divorce," I thought to myself, feeling both hurt and resolute. At first, Ethan remained arrogant, boasting that he would hire another top lawyer to beat me. But as the weeks passed, I began hearing from colleagues that no one wanted to take his case. Everyone in the legal community knew my reputation and recognized that Ethan had made too many critical errors. One Saturday morning, as I was preparing for a virtual meeting with a client, the doorbell rang repeatedly. I frowned, not expecting anyone at that hour. When I opened the door, I was surprised to find Ethan standing there, looking nothing like the polished man I once knew. He was thinner, his hair disheveled, and his face gaunt with worry. "We need to talk, Lena," he said, his voice trembling. I crossed my arms and stared at him coldly. "I thought we agreed to communicate through our lawyers. Couldn't find anyone willing to take your case?" Ethan lowered his head, clearly uncomfortable. "Lena, you have to understand, this isn't as simple as you think. I know I was wrong. I've ended that relationship. Can we talk like adults?" I raised an eyebrow. "That relationship? You mean your mistress? Interesting. Did she leave you when she found out you weren't rich anymore?" Ethan was silent for a moment, then let out a heavy sigh. "She doesn't matter. What matters is us. We were happy once, weren't we? I know I made mistakes, but everyone makes mistakes, Lena. We can fix this." Those words made me laugh bitterly. "Ethan, do you really think I'm stupid enough to come back to you just because of a few apologies? After everything you've done? Don't be ridiculous." He tried to stay composed, but I could see the desperation in his eyes. "Lena, I'm losing everything. If you take this to court, I'll be completely ruined. Just tell me what you want. I'll do it as long as you don't take half of my business." I stepped closer, looking him straight in the eyes. "Do you remember who wrote that clause into the prenup?" "You did. And now you have to face the consequences. Don't come here begging. I gave you a chance to be honest long ago, but you chose to betray me. We're done." Ethan's face turned pale. He continued pleading, but I no longer felt an ounce of sympathy. "Get out, Ethan, and don't come back," I said firmly, slamming the door shut. Outside, I heard his footsteps retreat quietly. I stood still for a long moment, exhaling deeply. This battle was nearing its end. Ethan had thought he could control me forever. But now he knew the harsh truth. I am the only one who controls my life. The divorce proceedings concluded faster than I had expected. The undeniable evidence and the clear stipulations of the prenuptial agreement left Ethan completely at a disadvantage. In the end, he had no choice but to concede and sign the agreement, granting me half of his business assets. We didn't have to drag the case further into court. I won convincingly, though the victory didn't bring the joy I had once imagined. It was merely the final step in closing a painful chapter of my life. A few weeks later, news of our divorce spread quickly within the business community. Some of Ethan's partners were shocked to learn that he had lost nearly half of his assets to me. His once thriving chain of upscale restaurants was now facing significant financial challenges. Without enough cash flow to maintain his lavish lifestyle, Ethan was forced to sell his sprawling mansion in the Denver suburbs and move into a modest rental apartment in a middle-class neighborhood. The woman he had once praised as his true love was no longer by his side. I heard rumors that she disappeared as soon as she found out Ethan was no longer wealthy. The cold indifference she showed him now was exactly what he had sown when he betrayed me. Karma hit faster than he expected. While Ethan struggled to adjust to his new reality, I focused on rebuilding my own life. The business shares I had acquired provided a stable source of income. I didn't manage the operations directly but hired a professional team to handle that part of the business. This allowed me to concentrate on my legal career and spend more time taking care of myself. One day I received a call from my best friend Emma, whom I hadn't seen throughout the divorce process. "Lena, we should go somewhere to relax this weekend. You've fought so hard, it's time to enjoy the fruits of your victory." Emma's suggestion made me laugh. She was right. I had spent too much time in pain, fighting and weathering the storm of my life. It was time to let myself enjoy life a little. That weekend, we drove up to the mountains in Aspen, rented a small villa, and spent the entire day hiking along beautiful trails, breathing in the fresh air of nature. There, I began to feel a true sense of relief for the first time in months. "Life is so beautiful, Emma. I forgot what it felt like to breathe freely like this," I said, smiling as I watched the stunning sunset before us. Emma nodded in agreement. "And you deserve it. No one has the right to make you suffer anymore, Lena. It's time for you to live for yourself." Her words were like a wake-up call. After that trip, I returned with a new mindset. I decided to buy a new house. Not to flaunt or prove anything to anyone, but to create a space I could truly call home. The new villa was located in a peaceful neighborhood, surrounded by a large garden. I spent time decorating it, selecting each piece of furniture to match my taste. Something I had never done while living with Ethan. My life gradually stabilized and flourished beyond my expectations. I continued taking on major legal cases and earned the trust of more clients. The staff at my law firm showed me respect not just for my expertise, but also for the resilience I had demonstrated during the hardest period of my life. One afternoon, while sitting in my office, I received an email from Ethan. The subject line was brief: "Can we talk?" I opened the email and read the apologetic words he had written. Ethan admitted he was wrong and said he wanted to meet to apologize in person, hoping we could remain friends. I chuckled softly and shook my head. Friends? After everything? I didn't respond right away. It wasn't because I wanted revenge or still harbored hatred for him. I simply realized that I no longer needed his apologies. My life had entered a new chapter, and Ethan was no longer a part of it. Instead of replying, I pressed the delete button and closed my laptop. Then I stepped outside to enjoy the gentle afternoon sunlight, feeling lighter and freer than ever before. This journey had not been easy, but I learned valuable lessons from it. No one has the right to control your life but you. And when you stand up for yourself, your strength will command the world's respect. I had weathered the storm and was now living the life I deserved, a life of freedom, success, and hope. The story of Lena Carter is a journey from heartbreak and betrayal to resilience and triumph. After being betrayed and disrespected by her husband, Lena stood up for herself with intelligence and determination. She reclaimed what was rightfully hers and rebuilt her life with success and independence. From loss, she found inner strength and learned to live for herself, no longer allowing anyone to control or hurt her. Her story is a testament that overcoming adversity is the path to true growth and happiness. What do you think of Lena Carter's story? Do you sympathize with her decisions, or do you have a different perspective? Share your thoughts. Don't forget to follow the channel for more inspiring stories about life and family.